Donald Trump couldn't help himself on a cold day last week in the Northeast. So he took to Twitter and he said, in the East, it could be the coldest, all in caps, New Year's Eve on record. Perhaps we could use a little bit of that good old global warming that our country, but not other countries, was going to pay trillions of dollars to protect against. Bundle up! So, no, he hasn't evolved, he hasn't grown up, he hasn't become less dumb from his tweet from years ago where he said climate change is a Chinese hoax. That's what he said. He tweeted that climate change is a Chinese hoax. He still believes that. That's what that tweet tells me right there. He still believes it. And he's also too dumb to get the difference between weather and climate. He doesn't get that. You know what weather is? Weather is you look outside, whatever's going on that day. Hey, it's cold today. That's called the weather. You know what climate is? It's the pattern of the weather. So you look at the macro picture, not the micro picture. But to see, this is what they do. They go, it's cold one day in North Dakota. Climate change is fake. Well, no, if you look at the trends are crystal clear. The greenhouse gas effect is increasing. We got over 400 parts per million in terms of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. The hottest 3 years on record have been in the past 5 years. And by the way, there's a reason why people now refer to it as climate change, because everybody agreed, the scientists agreed, hey, global warming is a little misleading, because it's not just that, the world is getting warmer, it's that the climate is changing. So some places that used to be, piping hot are going to get cooler. Many places that used to be cooler are going to get hotter. You're going to have an increase in natural disasters, a rise in sea levels, a spike in food prices. You have wars over water at some point will be coming. And every time I read about climate change, the scientists say, oh, this is worse than the worst case scenario that we projected a decade ago. That's what they say. But this idiot goes, yeah, science schmience. Did you know that there was a meta-analysis done of every peer-reviewed climate science article? And it's been done a few times now. But it's somewhere in the ballpark of 99.8 or 99.9% of all peer-reviewed studies on climate science come to the same conclusion. Yes, climate change is happening. Yes, it's largely man-made, and we need to do something about it immediately. So even when people give that stat of 97% of scientists agree, don't even use that stat, because that's an old stat, and that's just a survey of scientists' opinions. I don't give a fuck about anybody's opinion. I care about what the data says, what the studies say, what the empirical evidence says. And that undersells the effect of climate change and the reality of climate change. It's like 99.8 or 99.9% of the actual peer-reviewed studies on it. So that's the real fact that matters. But no, he doesn't care. He doesn't know, or he doesn't care, or both. It's cold out. So Donald Trump is your idiot, dumbass family member at the Thanksgiving dinner table who watches Hannity and thinks he has the world figured out. We all know that person. Everybody knows that person, of the asshole family member who's super far right wing, and they're so they have an answer to everything. Boom, here's my stock fucking response to whatever thing you just brought up. Trump is that guy. Trump is the guy. I watch Fox and Friends for 3 hours a day, so I figured it out. Tremendous, believe me, I know everything. That's Trump. And he's the fucking president. And this is the guy who destroyed the Paris Climate Agreement. And by the way, even the fact, we were going to have to spend trillions of dollars to stop this. This is such a dumb point brought up by Donald Trump and other Republicans in regards to the Paris Climate Agreement. They go, this is harder on the U.S. than it is on other countries. So why would we agree to this? You do know the U.S. is one of the top emitters of greenhouse gases. By definition, any agreement would have to be more strict on the U.S. because we emit more. The fuck? That's like somebody who's a multi-billionaire saying, I have to pay millions in taxes. This is terrible. I have to pay millions in taxes. And they're going, why doesn't the guy that makes $30,000 a year have to pay millions in taxes? Because he makes $30,000 a year, doesn't have fucking millions of dollars to pay in taxes. That's the same argument they're making with the Paris Climate Agreement. I can't believe we have to do more than any other country. This is outrageous. Fucking Bangladesh doesn't have the same number of emissions, you fucking gargantuan moron. You are colossally stupid. It's embarrassing how stupid you are. You are an embarrassment to this country. It is disgusting. Because he's so sure of himself, too. He tweets this, you could see the fucking shit-eating grin on his face as he's tweeting this nonsense. Oh, it's cold out. Climate change is fake. Do you not realize how you look like the biggest moron on the planet to every other modern country? It's not just every other modern country. Every other country, period. You know, who was it? It was like Nicaragua and Syria were the only two countries that didn't originally sign on to the Paris Climate Agreement. Why? Well, I think it was Nicaragua who said, no, we want to do a stronger agreement. This doesn't go far enough. We have to go further. That's why we're not going to sign on to this. We want to do more. And Syria didn't sign on to it because they were in the middle of a fucking civil war and they didn't have a representative at the table to do it. But now even they signed on to it. Nicaragua was like, okay, I guess you guys aren't serious and you don't want to really do this the right way, so fine, we'll sign on to it. And Syria's like, hey, here, now we actually have a representative there. Of course we're in favor of this. So we're uniquely unscientific. And it's not a fucking coincidence that this entire Republican Party is bought and owned by big oil. You look at the contribution numbers. Don't take my word for it. You go to Open Secrets. You look at how much the oil and gas industry, the fossil fuel industry, gives these Republican politicians, and you'll find out it's a convenient level of ignorance now, isn't it? You remember when Jim Inhofe was in the Senate giving a speech about climate change, and he said, hey, look, there's snow outside. He brought a snowball in from outside. That's what this guy did. He brought a snowball in and said, see, it snowed. I rest my case against climate change. Come to find out, Jim Inhofe is the #1 recipient of money from the oil and gas industry. Wow. Pretty fucking convenient. So don't get me wrong. Some of these guys are true believers and Kool-Aid drinkers. But they're wrong because they've been bombarded with money from oil and gas and bombarded with the propaganda from oil and gas. So they believe a lot of the bullshit that's told to them by the industry. And this unholy alliance, and the glue of it all is money and politics, but this unholy alliance is screwing over the next generation and quite literally the world. So it's just pathetic. Your reactionary fucking family member at the Thanksgiving dinner table is president. That's what this is. And I'll leave you with this one thing that you have to see. This was on Twitter. This was the best response to Trump's tweet here. It shows the Titanic sinking. And then it says, Republicans on climate change. Quote, if we're sinking, why are we hundreds of feet in the air? That's exactly the kind of dumbass logic of Trump and the Republicans. When they look at a cold day and they go, yeah, climate change, nonsense, fake news is what this is. No, fake president is what you are.